So, our Chatty Natty.
Right.
What's up today about Chatty Natty?
Well, on this episode, Natty, or Kun Onderwi, will be interviewing the regional group editor of Property Guru, and who has a passion for publishing printing industry.
Yeah. Let's see.
Welcome to the third week of Chatty Natty, and for this week we will take you to meet with a person who spends at least 15,000 baht, or probably about $500 on magazines. He's a magazine lover. His name is Andrew Bat. He's the regional group editor of Property Guru Online. Sorry, Mr. Andrew.
Chatty Cap.
Well, we have heard that you just flew back from Singapore.
That's right. I've recently changed jobs, so now I'm based most of the time in Singapore, but prior to that I was based 5.5 years in Bangkok, working for a couple of media companies here.
Okay, and what do you do in Singapore?
I'm regional group editor, as you say, for Property Guru, and Property Guru right now is 99% online, but my background for the last 20 years or so has been in print. So I'm helping to launch a couple of new print products for the company, which is really exciting.
How long have you been collecting magazine or newspaper?
Probably about, well, before I even started in the media. I started as a trainee photographer on a local newspaper in the UK just over 20 years ago. And that was at the time where we still had typewriters. And in terms of photography, it was still a chemical darkroom, no digital or anything like that. And even before that, I was collecting cuttings, looking at newspapers, looking at magazines. I can remember creating a magazine even when I was at school, just for my friends. I don't know what it is, but I've always been interested in current affairs, always interested in news. And luckily, I've been able to translate that into my career.
What fascinated you about, magazine and newspaper, the print?
I think it's the sheer variety that you get. I'm one of these crazy people. I've got no qualms about going to buy a women's magazine that I've never seen before. I'll go and pick up a copy, even a Thai language. I don't read Thai, but I will pick up a Thai magazine and buy it and read it.
Why is that?
To see what's being done, because you're always looking for new innovations in print. And there's a very good magazine I saw recently. It covers the Mongolian real estate industry.
Mongolian real estate industry?
Yes, there is one. And those are the kind of magazines I look out for, the weird ones, the ones that are perhaps breaking ground in particular areas. There's a few really good Vietnamese magazines now. That's starting to be a new area for publishers to look at who want to license magazines, to take their existing brand and basically license it for a local language edition. In Thailand, we have, I think it's now nearly 60 licensed magazines, for example, Top Gear, Elle, Cosmopolitan, etc. So those are established brands where a publisher here will license the brand to produce a Thai language, and that happens all over the world. Some of my favourite magazines come from the US, the UK, and there's a few in this region as well that are really good.
Okay, what is like the most favorite magazine?
There's two that I buy every month. One is called Olive, which is a BBC magazine, and it's a food and restaurant magazine. I've been buying it for probably about 7 or 8 years. It's a nice mix. It's not totally food and it's not totally restaurant reviews. It's a really nice mix, and I like food. I like cooking, so it's a really nice mix. I've heard recently that there may be some changes to that brand, which will be a shame if it changes from what it is now, because I think it works really well. The other magazine that I started to buy on a regular basis, and this is actually a good example of how print can expand from online. It's a magazine called Tap
Do you
from
have
the UK.
any,
Just so
us?
happens.
Okay.
Yeah. Tap started earlier this year, and it's devoted to iPhone and iPad apps. So you think about it, you're obviously interacting with your iPhone and your iPad. Why do you need print?
Exactly.
But this
Why?
now is being sold around the world, and it proves that there is a market for it. People want to read about reviews, what people think of iPad apps, of iPhone apps, the latest technology. They have a lot of accessories, things like that.
How much do you spend on magazines?
Too much.
I would say a month.
Easily 15,000 or 20,000 baht.
15,000 or 20,000 baht.
Easily.
Easily.
Yeah. Because I'm passionate about print. I buy magazines in Singapore, I buy them here, I buy them at the airports, I buy newspapers. I'm the kind of guy that last weekend when I flew back, they had a copy of the previous day's newspapers from the UK. So I bought two, and that's like 20 Singapore dollars. So that's like 500 baht
Okay,
in two newspapers.
When you go into a bookstore, I would say, at the airport or anywhere else, do you really buy everything on the shelf?
Not everything, no, I'm not that crazy. And I'm not on first name terms with the shopkeepers yet. But no, I tend to buy magazines that I haven't seen before. I tend to buy magazines that have good covers. Obviously, that's how that's how a magazine sells itself. Plus, I buy magazines that I've bought before that I've liked. And now in Thailand, you're seeing more and more magazines arriving here that haven't been here before. Thailand still gets very, very few global magazines in comparison to Singapore. The magazines from UK, from Australia, from US, that don't even make it to Thailand. So I get them when I'm in Singapore.
Have you ever counted how many you have?
No, but I might need a new condo soon.
How do you store like all the magazines?
I have an area in my condo that I just pile them up and then go back to them every now and again.
Probably,
my cats love them for scratching.
probably 1,000.
Yeah, more than that.
More than that.
Yeah. And then that's here. And then in the UK, I've got lots more as well that I haven't seen for the last 5 years. And
Alright.
at some point, I'll be going back to those, specifically newspapers as well. This might sound a little bit ghoulish, but the day after September 11, I went out and bought all the newspapers. They're historical items now. I don't intend to sell them or anything, but one day someone might find them useful.
Have you ever thought about, setting up a museum?
I'm not that crazy.
No, it's not crazy, just, I mean, if you set up a museum, you can just like, I would say, offer opportunities for young students who would love to learn about publishing.
I've used some examples. When I was in the UK, I used to provide a little bit of teaching to some primary school students who were looking to make their own class newspapers. So they invited someone from the newspaper to come in, and usually it was me because I enjoyed it, and go and talk to them about being a reporter, being a photographer, and then on the publishing side as well, how to make ads that stand out, things like that. So I used some of those examples then, but there's a very, very, very good resource in the US called museum.com. That's probably the world's best newspaper museum, and their online resource is second to none. You can look at front pages from over 700 newspapers every single day.
All right.
So that's worth looking at.
All right. Apart from collecting magazines, Andrews also spends some of his free time writing an online blog about publishing and printing industry. What do you normally write about, or what's the potential do you see in writing blog?
It's weird actually. My blog, which is bangkokbugle.com, started just when I came to Thailand. It was a way, originally it was a way just to keep my family and friends updated in the UK what I was doing out here. But obviously being in publishing, I quickly got involved in publishing issues and was contrasting things that happen here with what happened back in the UK where I was before. And from that it developed into, basically now I'm writing about media issues in Thailand, but now with my spending half the time in Singapore, I'm also trying to compare and contrast what happens in Singapore and what happens in Thailand. It's quite funny that one of the top English language newspapers in Thailand actually supplies me with some of their job requests, because I get a lot of people, media people that from Thailand and from Southeast Asia looking for jobs, so I help them out by posting job adverts as well. But no, it's fun. I blog for fun. I don't blog for money. It makes no money at all. I just do it when I have time. And hopefully it's a resource that people in print, advertising, media can learn from.
But what do you usually write about?
It varies.
Politics?
I tend to steer a little bit clear of politics. I'll leave that to other people. I know that media and politics are intertwined. In terms of my involvement, I've not ever had a problem, a political problem with anything in Thailand in terms of the media. There is a lot of self-censorship that happens. There are topics, obviously, that you don't write about. But I've never come across anybody who said to me, you can't write about this. And in fact, with a magazine I used to work for here in Thailand, we had a problem in Malaysia. We had
what happened?
Well, it was a property magazine, and we had a photo feature which included some models in swimsuits promoting a particular property, which we thought was fine. Malaysian authorities didn't, and we got an official warning because it was deemed content not suitable for a property magazine. So yeah, Thailand, obviously, issues make headlines here, but Singapore as well. I mean, Singapore is very tightly controlled. I think there's a lot of censorship there, self-censorship again, that happens. Thailand isn't alone. But as I said, I tend to leave that for other people to talk about.
With over 20 years of experiences in print industry, Andrew believes newspaper, books or magazines will stay on for a long time.
Talking about, the last question, talking about the future of the magazine, the newspaper as well. What is your prediction on, the future of magazine and newspaper, as well as the online?
Okay. Newspapers and magazines will continue to survive. That's a fact. I mean, I think anybody in the industry would say that. Not all magazines will survive. One of the challenges that magazines are facing is accountability. Now, by that I mean there are a lot of magazines here that claim circulation which doesn't bear any resemblance to fact. I'm a big supporter of circulation auditing, and that means that as an advertiser, I remember that a lot of the revenue comes from advertising. As an advertiser, you know exactly how many copies of that magazine are sold. Right now there's only 1 or 2 publications in Thailand that can actually claim that. That will help strong print products, whether newspapers or magazines, survive, because the advantage with online is an advertiser can instantly monitor how many clicks they're getting from a particular ad. It's very, very instant. With a magazine ad, you don't know. As an advertiser, it could work, it couldn't. You don't know. Circulation auditing is the next best thing to trackability online. That's only going to work, as I said, for strong brands with strong sales. So you might see smaller magazines disappear or merge, but print is going to be around for a long time yet.
All right, thank you for joining our show today.
No problem.
Sawasdee ka.
Chatty Natty.